To be, or not to be, we knew that the series was finally coming to an end. These would be the last two shows. And we desperately wanted to do something big. We knew the show had to go out in some big way. And we also knew that somehow we had to give our audiences more. They'd been with us loyally for, almost 5.5 seasons. And we were at loose ends about how to do this. We were really racking our brains for weeks. And I was sitting in my office racking my brain when David Abramowitz burst into my office and said, "We've got it."
Cloud. Over here, McLeod.
Fitz, is that you?
In the flesh, dear boy, so to speak. Good to see you again.
But Callus killed you. You're dead.
Well, I might say I've seen you looking better yourself.
Am I dead?
Not to be, and its partner to be, actually came from my idea. Oh, wow, It's a Wonderful Life. What an original idea. Originally, what we were trying to do, we knew we had to have something big and important for the ending. But in season 6, Adrian had limited availability, especially towards the end of the season. So I had actually originally pitched the idea for episode 11, something where we only had Duncan or Adrian for a day or two. I didn't presume to pitch the finale. And it was Bill Panzer who looked at the idea for doing basically It's a Wonderful Life, showing what would have happened to all the other characters without Duncan around, and went, no, this is how we tie it up.
We all like to think when we're at our cheeriest that we are in some way, as we go through our short journey, making a difference to the people with whom we come in contact and this planet where we live. And at our darkest moments, we despair and say, who cares? Why am I here? What's it all about? What did I ever do? Nothing would change without me. What a waste. And stretching it out over centuries and dealing with people that McLeod had been close to, he got to see how he affected them, as hopefully we all get to see how we've affected the people around us.
Well, the thing about To Be or Not to Be, it was really interesting to show people, or us as humans, that our life matters. And it doesn't matter what we do, we affect other people's lives. And Duncan MacLeod, being the man that he was, might have taken it on himself that it was his fault that Richie died, that it was his fault that Fitzcairn died, that all the things that happened to him or to other people were because of him.
Been a tough few years, has it? Fighting, always bloody fighting, trying to save the world.
Yeah, nothing ever changes, does it?
Did you really think you changed the world all by yourself?
Fitz, forget about the world. What about Richie? What about Tessa? What about you? If it wasn't for me, you'd still be alive.
Come on, McLeod. Come on. There's something I want you to see.
And I was thunderstruck. It's a Wonderful Life with James Stewart, of course, is one of the great films, and it was one of my favorite films, certainly my favorite Jimmy Stewart film. That same afternoon, I flew back to Vancouver to begin writing the script. And I was sitting in the LAX waiting room, the lounge, staring up at the television, thinking about It's a Wonderful Life, and there before me on the screen was James Stewart in It's a Wonderful Life. James Stewart had just died, and they were playing a tribute to him. It seemed to mean something at the time. I can tell you that the hair rose up on the back of my neck, and I thought, oh my God, either we're supposed to do this or we're not. But I did go back to Vancouver, and the next day started trying to write the show.
To Be started out as a regular episode. And it's because we needed a way to get into it that had some credibility. So we create this regular episode,
Shoot the woman and take her head.
and then people die. McLeod goes through some guilt, and he wishes that this had never have happened. And just like Jimmy Stewart, we give him the opportunity to see what life would be like if he never existed.
I thought it was a great idea, actually, because it allowed a kind of retrospective. It meant that we could look at the characters that had been the strong features of the series over the years, without it just looking like a show of clips, Highlander's greatest hits. I thought it worked really well.
I'll give you a category. Some of my favorite flashbacks were when McLeod was with Fitzcairn, played by Roger Daltrey, because the two of them got up to ridiculous hijinks. We had great fun writing it, and the two of them played marvelously off each other.
What are those? Bearer bonds. $3 million worth. What's he doing with them? Stealing them, of course. The man didn't know about this. Is the Pope a Catholic?
Was a neat challenge. I mean, because it showed sides of, like, say, if Joe had not had that beacon of McLeod's virtue to look at, the despair that he might have been lost in.
You got me confused with somebody else. I can't help anybody.
You're a watcher. You're the reason I joined. We've got to stop the killing.
When will you get it through your thick Highland skull that you were much more than his friend? For 20 years, you were his inspiration.
Damn it, there's nothing I can do!
There is if you want to.
Do I look like I want to?
It was neat to be able to take a character that you had developed over a period of time and turn him in a different direction. So from an acting standpoint, it was a lot of good fun.
And we wanted to bring back the actors, some of whom were no longer alive, as characters, so that we'd give some sort of resonance to the end of the year.
The only reason I spared your life, Joseph, is because you're nothing. You're no one. It's a little late to become a hero. Buy yourself a drink.
When you walk down the street and you see these homeless people and people that are in desperate circumstances, and sometimes you're annoyed or you're this, you're that, and the other thing, but there's always that moment that I remind myself that this was somebody's baby and this could be me. And so it really kind of gave me that reminder that, to be real with everyone.
It allowed a lot of scope. There was humor, but it also, it did give the chance for both McLeod and the audience to look at it and say, yeah, there was the way I behaved. There were negative consequences. There were bad things because of choices I made, but there were also good things happened.
First Amanda, now Joe, I see a very worrying pattern developing here.
This is where it stops.
Don't go, McLeod.
I have no choice. That is existentially inaccurate. All right!
I will come with you.
That, in a way, is the heart of the show. It's what are the consequences of what we do? How do we carry ourselves? What is it to be a hero? What is it to be a good man? So I thought it worked. I thought it worked really nicely. I liked it.
I think it's Peter Wingfield taught me an interesting phrase. It's called a walk down, which is from British pantomime. And at the end of the panto, all of the characters walk down to the end of the stage one at a time and say some kind of line or do a movement that they did during the performance, and everyone gives their applause. And I really do think that To Be and Not to Be was a pretty good walk down for all of the characters.